Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, dear viewers, welcome back. And I'm going to go straight back just like done before. I'm going to go on left now. John, we're almost finishing ourselves actually. I wanted to know, how did you get involved in the amazing work you guys do?
So I got involved through the Salvation Army through my family. So that's how I met the Salvation Army. My parents were Salvation Army officers, and they had a number of different roles, which meant that I lived across the world, in different countries. So I lived in the States for a while, Pakistan, as I mentioned, New Zealand, and I even lived in the UK for a bit too. But really, I've come to as well as a sense of God's calling on my life, to be part of the Salvation Army and to have leadership responsibility in the Salvation Army. The example of my parents is something that I am. When you're younger, you don't want to acknowledge the role your parents have on your life, but I really recognise that I wouldn't be in the Salvation Army without the example that I saw in them. So with my dad Shaw Clifton. He had a number of different responsibilities, but I saw him be someone who was willing to speak first. If he saw an injustice, if he saw that something wasn't right, he would be willing to break the silence.
Was he the general of the Salvation Army, the top person?
That's right, yeah. So my father was the international leader for the Salvation Army, and even in his role there, with a lot of responsibility across the world, he would be willing to break a silence. If something was wrong, he would break the silence, which then meant that problem was brought into the open, so that it could be talked about. With my mum, something I saw in my mum was that she would never discount anyone. So she would be able to recognise the potential in people. So when we lived in Pakistan, a lot of the Salvation Army women were not getting a great education, and so my mum set up English classes to teach women English, and so I saw this example, and I saw them do these things as Salvation Army officers.
How old were you when you first, from your heart, you wanted to join in them? How old were you then?
So I joined as a member of the Salvation Army. Good question. When I was, well, I joined when I was 7 as a child, as what we call in the Salvation Army a junior soldier. But then later in my life, when I was 16, I joined as a senior soldier, so as a member. But then it was really when I was 18, just before I started university, that I started to think, actually, you know what, this is probably going to be the thing that this is what I need to do with the rest of my life.
Fantastic.
At that stage. So.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Can I come to Parvez Bhai? Parvez Bhai, you know, I'm one of your followers in the Facebook, and of course I know you personally too. I'm really, I met few of your brothers actually. And especially I'm saying it in the front of everybody because I want people to know we can learn something. When we were talking to each other, it was like, it's not your big brother, it was like your friend there.
Yeah.
One of your brother was doing PhD, remember?
Yeah, he's done it.
And
already.
we had it, and that's good. Congratulations to him. And it was just like your friends. I mean, we don't see that very often in our community. Yeah. Like big brother and younger brother could be friends and they talk anything and openly. How did you build it up?
I think it is a life challenge. I think I've lost my father when I was 13 years old, and I was the eldest brother. And we are 4 brothers and 3 sisters.
How old were you then, sir?
I was 13. And my youngest brother, he was less than a year old at that time, whom we met with just finished his doctorate degree from Cambridge University. Yeah. So, I mean, we faced the challenge together as a family. My mother, she was our guide, and she has guided us to, you know, take the right path, take the right choice. And, you know, we are very close from very early age. And I always treated my family, everyone, from my elder sister to younger sister, my immediate younger brother to the youngest brother, as friend. I talk everything with them. They can talk everything with me. I mean, you can understand our culture. I remember my uncles, they're talking to each other through us. You know, one uncle telling me something to his brother. He's not saying face to face. You know, that's the culture
It
we
is so
brought
funny.
up.
I
You
mean,
see.
they think this is the respect.
That's the
Yeah.
respect. But I never liked it.
Right.
From a very early age, I thought, no, this is not the right way to do things. And my way of doing things was, wherever I get stuck, my immediate younger brother, he will never get stuck on that point. And wherever both of us will get stuck, the youngest one, he will never get stuck on that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we always try to help each other, be a role model to each other. And alhamdulillah, with the blessing of Almighty.
Has anyone,
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a role model? Has anyone, you know, inspired you to do what you want to do? Because you're a very successful businessman too. And do you look up to anyone?
I always remember my father. I mean, he is still my role model. Although he died at a very early age. He died at the age of 42, very young, long ago. But I remember his life. I mean, how he struggled. I mean, he was born at the time of British India. Then it was Pakistan. Then it was Bangladesh. All these changes he has seen. And like me, he lost his father in a very early age as well. Both his parents. And he got educated by himself. He struggled a lot. And at that time, he was, you know, if you see, he was, when he lost his father, he was about 13, 14. And his mother died when he was 3.5, 4 years old. But, I mean, academically, he was very rich. I mean, he has done his master degree from Dhaka University. And he used to be
I mean, for that time, it's amazing. I mean, for
It's
that
amazing.
time,
Yeah, yeah,
in Bangladesh,
yeah.
you could pick few people.
He was a senior government officer when he died. So, and I always see him looking after the community, looking after his family members, his brothers and sisters. And whenever someone asked him something, any donation, any help, he never said no. He always tried to do something to everyone. Still, our community back home in our village, I mean, he died more than 33 years ago. People still remember him.
Yeah.
And that's a big role model for me. I always tell my brothers, that's what our father was. And, you know, humanity is something above and beyond everything. Religion, we can pray 5 times, but if we do not respect the humanity, then it doesn't mean anything. So that's the biggest principle of my life.
Thank you for sharing, you know, really emotional part of your father. I think it's amazing. I mean, I learned it myself. I've lost my father actually when I was young too. My mother's still around. And when you don't have them, then that's when you realize what do you really have left with.
Yeah.
It's crucial. Can I ask you something, John? Do you have any? I think you mentioned your parents probably role model as
I mentioned my parents, but there are other people who are role models for me, and particularly so if I'm particularly thinking as in the context of the Salvation Army, so someone that we both know, so Nick Coke is a.
You know what? He gets picked up in every.
He does get
everything.
picked up
I
in
don't
every
know why, man. What's going on?
Yeah. But he's
honestly, he is something different.
Yeah, he is a big role model for me. In the range of different ways that he works out his faith, and the way that he conducts himself. So he's someone who's.
You know, I don't know if you know, I know him for 10 years or more than that probably.
Yeah.
And we never ever, we are so close. He's my best friend actually. We never ever invited each other for, you know, trying to make him into, he's trying to make him into something.
Yeah.
We never done that. We said, no, from the beginning we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
And let's die like that. And it was an amazing experience for me, honestly.
Yeah.
He changed my way I think or how I see the world actually.
Yeah.
He has done that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So he was one person, but one other person, and this is somebody from an older, he wouldn't appreciate me saying that, but an older generation. But as a more senior person to me is somebody called Norman Ord. who's a Salvation Army officer as well. But the thing that he, in terms of acting as a role model for me, was that he trusted me with things. And you know, we were talking about developing people as leaders and that. He was somebody who trusted. Yeah, he's someone who trusted me, and that really helped me try to rise. I wanted to rise to that trust. You know,
I see you're very comfortable with around Muslims and stuff like that. You're making it easy with friends and working with them.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? How much you know about Islam?
Yeah. Well, the main things of Islam that I've learned are through my friends, and so very basic ways, such as with the generosity that is shown, the hospitality as well. But something, I mean, you mentioned about kind of praying 5 times a day, and I think the life of prayer that's expected in Islam is something that I have a lot of admiration for, and the discipline that's required around that. I think I have a lot of respect and admiration for that. So I know some other things as well, but those are that's really the.
No, that's fantastic. A lot of Muslims can learn from you, sir. A lot of Muslims can learn from you. Honestly, like the respect you showed, every word you said, you meant it.
Yeah.
You're not just saying it because you're in the thing.
Well, it's from my experience of meeting.
No, that is experience.
People,
so across you, sir, how much do you know about their faith?
Well, of course, I've got many friends. I've made many friends over the years. I've been living in this country for quite a long time. My children are born here. My children have friends from different culture, different religion.
Yeah.
And of course, Christianity, Judaism, these are part of Islam. We have learned from our religion what is Judaism, what is Christianity. So it's everything is similar. It's nice. We have got a lot of compatibility.
Yeah.
And I believe that, I mean, as much as we know each other's religion, it will bring us much closer, and it is very important to know each other. And I'm so proud that our children are educated in this country. They are learning different education in their religious studies at school. And it is going to be really helpful for us to affiliate with them if we are able to give time. At the same time, for our children, it is very important. When you get your parents and guardians, right, take the opportunity. Like me and you, we lost our fathers in a very, very early time, but we cherish every moment of it when we had him. You see, so for the children, for the young people, I think don't miss the opportunity. You talk to your parents. Find out what they're thinking, what their beliefs is. It's very important. And this way you can learn more, and it will take you in a better path for the future. And I believe this.
Fantastic. We don't have much time left. I wanted to ask you something. I want you to say, especially your family, something like your young girl is going to have a birthday tomorrow. So I want you to say in advance something to them.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Okay, you got a minute, 2 minutes to say something to the viewers.
I mean, we mentioned about losing parents as well, and so my mum died just over 5 years ago, and I mean, she was the biggest influence on my life in many ways, and as I've described. But the thing I want to make sure that my children, so my children Abigail and Miriam, I want them to know who she was. So I think for you guys, where you're talking about your father, I think you want your kids to know who he was, and I want my kids to know who my mum was, and I love seeing them learn about her. And even Miriam, she talks about having the same colour eyes as her, even though she never met her, but she's getting to know her and what she was about. So I want both my girls to know that legacy as well.
That's he's so proud, man, of your mum, man. That's correct, and you're connecting the generations. That is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, it's itself that you're connecting people towards godly people. That's so important. 2 minutes for you, sir, to our viewers, and something to your family too.
I think I'm proud of my family, and in terms of bringing up children, I've got 2 daughters and a son, and I believe that my wife and I, we are able to guide them and teach them the right values of life. But at the same time, what I would want more, that our children should become more involved with community work, social work, get to know other community, wider community, do more charitable work, go above and beyond of their daily life to get to know the community. This way, they will become maybe the leaders of the future generation. And we want more of this, I think. But I am proud of my wider family as well.
Fantastic.
And my friends, of course.
Don't forget me, though. John, is there any trainings that our young people are watching? Is there any trainings for them to become, leadership training in that level?
Yeah. So something that's been a really good leadership training for me is through, we mentioned it briefly, through London Citizens, through Telco.
We didn't touch on that one, man, especially your meetings with the Prime Ministers and all that. So,
Yeah,
it's still got time, come on.
But I think, so where our institutions, if your mosque or your school is a member of that alliance, I think the 2-day training is really important, 2-day training, and then the 6-day training as well is a really important starting place for people to take extra responsibility.
Tell me your experience spending time with the Prime Ministers. You met how many of them? You met all of them, haven't you?
No. I've only met one.
Who was that? Who's the respected one?
Mr. Cameron.
Oh, you met him. Okay, the latest one. All
very
right.
briefly. I don't think he would remember me.
Okay, how did you remember him then? What was it like?
It was a very interesting experience in terms of how a meeting with a Prime Minister would take place. So there are a number of leaders in the room. And he was very respectful. I also met the Deputy Prime Minister at the time, Mr. Clegg.
Wow.
But it's about working together. So I didn't speak very much, to be honest. There were other people in the room who were speaking much more. But it's about building enough power together, all of us building enough power to be able to hold our government to account on the promises that they make. So that was the conversation.
Amazing experience, man.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, make sure you give me out autograph, please, before you leave. And I think this is what I enjoy about Telco. Actually, what they're trying to do is they have about 300 organizations coming together, isn't it? I don't know if you know about Telco.
I've heard of it.
You heard of it. It's amazing. It's amazing, especially the projects they do.
I find that is one of the best mechanisms to be able to relate from institution to institution. So in Redbridge, for example, we've just been able to strike up a new relationship with Redbridge Islamic Centre, which again came through introductions from lots of different people, and with Harun Khan as well, particularly who people will know, and being able to build a relationship between the Salvation Army and Redbridge Islamic Centre in a way that might not have happened otherwise, and similarly even between churches as well. So the Salvation Army and St Margaret's and the Salvation Army and St Thomas of Canterbury. We might not have these relationships if it wasn't for an alliance, a formal alliance like Telco.
Fantastic, brilliant. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of them because I've been to some of their stuff, man. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. Parvez Bhai, we don't have much time, only 4 minutes left.
Right.
I want to know from you, how do you see Muslim community in UK in 5 years' time? Where do you think we're going? How far are we going? Because there are a lot of frightening stuff. Racism has gone very high. Islamophobia has gone very high. People are being attacked. It's quite scary.
I think I see very bright future for the whole community. I think the way we are thinking, maybe we feel scared, but our children, they are not feeling isolated. They are part of this community. They are born here, they are bred here, they went to school here, their friends are from many different ethnic background. And I can see that they are integrated even more than what we can imagine. When I talk to my daughters, and my son, their friends are from different ethnic background, and they are not feeling any of this, that I'm someone different, I can be isolated. The most important part is everyone has to play their own role in terms of helping the community do their own job, be good at their profession. That's the first precondition. Do whatever you do, you have to do good. That's the first thing. And if we are able to facilitate that as guardian, as the community leaders, then I can't see any problem in it. Yes, there is a problem. Brexit came up. Of course, when there is a crisis, there is always a blame culture comes. One people blame another, one community blame another community, that you are the trouble. Recession came, blame culture again kicked in. But hopefully, if we are able to face the challenges together as a community, then community harmony will kick in again. You know, I can see brighter futures.
Great.
Definitely.
The last word to our viewers in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I believe that we should all work together as a community, look after our future generation, give them good ideas, give them good guidance. And by doing that, inshallah, we'll be able to achieve better future for our children.
Fantastic. For you, sir, 1 minute to our viewers, your last word.
Yeah, so I think in times of great difficulty, there are people who step up in the arena to take part, men and women who are inspired, I believe, by God to make a difference in the world. And that's what I try to teach my children as well. And you know, the world is difficult at the moment, as you've mentioned. But there will be people who might be watching, certainly people that we know, who will have a sense that they need to take responsibility and not to blame. People who need to take responsibility. So for those who are perhaps listening, I would encourage you to do so. Step up and take that responsibility and play your part. Don't be somebody who can be blamed for the way things are, but be somebody who steps up and takes responsibility for the way things should be.
Fantastic. Dear viewers, you know, I have to thank these guys, you know, they made an amazing show for us today. They have a lot of experience in them, and they have given us a lot of tips how to become a successful young man and how to become a successful adult too. And we all need to play a role here. It's very true. If we don't play a role, we shouldn't start blaming people for not doing anything. I'm not doing nothing myself. How can you blame others? And mostly people who don't do anything, actually, they look for faults in others. So my humble request to you, make dua, make prayers, and let's show the world that we can live together and we can shine together too. If we said anything wrong, please do forgive us, not anything personal. We're just trying to learn too. So please forgive us. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.